Hey, in the last lesson, we introduced you to Codepen, and this is a great way to write code if you do have an internet connection, and you can practice writing some HTML as well as CSS and JavaScript directly within your browser. Now, if you are developing code, ideally you do have an editor right on your system that can do the same, and then you can run front-end code directly within your browser, as we saw from our last lesson. Code, so there's a number of different editors. And an editor, so what it is, it allows us to write code. So just as we saw with Codepen, an editor will allow us to type the code, save it as a file on our local computer, and then afterwards we would upload those files to a server, and then that way they would be accessible on the internet. So there's a number of different editors, and the editor that I'm going to be using in the upcoming lessons is Brackets, and you do have quite a bit of choice with the various editors. So you can choose whichever one you're most familiar with or comfortable with, or you could choose to use the same one that I'm using. So it's three of the most popular open source editors. So there's Brackets, there's also Atom.io, and there's also Visual Studio Code. So this is a free editor from Microsoft. Brackets is an Adobe product. At the end of the day, you're writing front-end code. You can also use text editors that might be already on your computer, such as TextPad or Notepad, and saving a file as an HTML file. That's all it takes, and that's all you need to do. And then opening up that HTML file within the browser will render the HTML code directly within your browser. So I'm going to be using Brackets, so go ahead and to do the install of Brackets. So it's just downloading Brackets here, and once it's ready, you can go ahead and do the install of Brackets. And I'll give you a quick run through of Brackets. So I'm going to open up my version of Brackets. So once you've downloaded it, I am on a Mac, so that's why it's downloading the DMG version. And there are Windows versions as well as Linux versions across all three different editors that we've just been talking about. And once we've downloaded it, and I'm going to be replacing my existing one because this is an updated version. And there's also a listing of the popular extensions that are used with Brackets. And one of my favorite ones is the Beautify extension. So I'll show you how you can install the extensions as well. And there's a lot of different new extensions coming out all the time. A full list from them is available here, and as well as the popular ones that are getting downloaded. And there's also different themes that you can use for the coding themes. And these are just the colors that code is displayed within. Now, there are some benefits to using a code editor as opposed to just a regular text editor like Notepad. So Notepad wouldn't have all of the features that would highlight the various code and the syntax. With the editors like Brackets, you get quite a lot of functionality included. And in order to set up the various extensions in Brackets, you can go to File, and there's Extension Manager. And then within Extension Manager, you can easily search and select different extensions to install. There's also the default ones that get installed. And if you want to search up Beautify, it will give you a listing of all the extensions. To install them, you just click Install, and that does the installation of the extensions. You can see the extensions that are already installed by going under Installed. And once you open it up, also select a folder that you're going to be using. The folder that I'm using is called WebDev. So I've just opened up that folder, and I don't have any files in there as of yet. So any of the files that are going to be written within this folder that's sitting on my computer. And you can also navigate to different folders. And I do suggest that as you create different web projects, that you create separate folders for them so you don't have overlapping file contents. And then once you're ready to create a file, so going up to the top, hit New to create a brand new file. And then once you create the file, way down at the bottom right-hand side, there's an option to change with the different languages. So what this will do is this will highlight the various tags. So I'm going to just do an HTML tag with Hello World and H1, close that tag. And then if we update it from text to HTML, it will highlight the tags as well as the content. So we're able to distinguish between the HTML tagging as well as the content. And this is one of the nice things about using an editor, is that you can really easily read the code that you're writing. And then we'll just save this file as index.html, and this will be our starting file that we can work with in order to start writing code on our computer. I'll minimize this. Going over to the same code that we had within Codepen, I'm going to select that, or you can just go to the view source of info.cern.ch and paste the code into the index.html. Now go over to your file browser on your computer. Navigate to where the file is located on your system. So this is that same index file that I have in brackets. And you can select to open it with, and select an option. I'm going to just use Chrome in order to open the file. So this is the file that we just created, and this is the one that's sitting within my own system. And you can notice as well with the file path, as this is sharing a local file path. So this is just rendering out the file wherever it's located on my computer, and I have it under users, web, sites, and then within a folder called web dev, and that's where I've got the index.html. So now any changes I make to the file, then going back up and save and open that, and then just do a quick refresh, and you can see that now the file has changed with my new updated content. And then also as well, you can take a look at the source code, and this is the source code that is being used by the browser in order to render that content. So before the next lesson, go ahead and select an editor that you want to use. You can also try out some of the themes and extensions, install them within the editor, and then take some of the source code from the cern.ch website or any of your favorite websites, copy and paste it into your editor, create a file called index.html, as well as create a folder that you're going to be able to work out of and create files out of. Then open up, navigate to where the file is located, open it up within your web browser, see the code being rendered out, and then make some updates to some of the content, not any of the tags, just the content of the page, and see the changes take place. And don't forget to refresh the page in order to see the changes. And you're going to be ready to move on to the next lesson.